Hey, and welcome back to Quest for Completion Live Edition. We're on episode 7. So, before we get into anything, let me show you guys the stats. I swapped around items on a couple of our characters, but it's really just more or less the same for stats, just a 500 stat increase in the primary statistic. So, like damage for the mage, range for these two, etc., etc. Did I show this one off? I don't know if I did. Our EV though, I think she has a stat decrease, and that's because I haven't upgraded the chest piece or the helmet, and that's just because I got lazy. But other than that, we just got a nice increase in our stats. We're now around 4K in most of our characters, and this is our mage, and there we go. So we're going to go into Infested Ruins, do this on Nightmare Hardcore, the campaign. This should be really, really easy from my experience. Just a little bit, not nerve-wracking, but you might panic a little bit. I'll say that much. I'll say that much? Yes, I will say that much. Okay, I think that's all the characters. I think that's everything I need to do. Let's get into it. Now, Infested Ruins, the survival of it is actually not that bad from what I remember. There's a couple of things with it, but you can use a couple of tricks here and there, like using guardian pets, to make it a little bit easier on yourself. As for how to move, how to build, and the route that I take for the first wave, just follow me and you'll probably be fine. It's actually not super complicated because it is a certified classic stack of auras at every crystal, and then you move into your traps and then your EV, and then we're going to be using our mage. So it's kind of a lot of things to do for just the first round. Make sure you have your speed maxed out. As I've been saying in the past, that is really important. But if I'm able to do it while making this many mistakes, I imagine you guys will be able to do it making less mistakes. Right, gas trap, lightning trap, and a weaken trap. Trap, auras. And then for the traps, you're only going to be using 2 gas traps for this entire build. One right there, and then one right over here. And Badoomba. That is all of the gas traps you will need for campaign. I think that the survival build is more or less like identical. I've been using that word a lot. More or less. It's basically the same thing for survival, but you just use less ogres, and I'll show you the ogres in a bit. But for this character, place a 40U buff beam right there, and then down here, zoom in on your camera all the way, and place a 40U buff beam going out as far as you can. If your ores don't quite reach, feel free to just place down a buff beam here and sell it, and then boom, 3 towers boosted. We are happy. Place down a reflection beam like that, and then place down a 40U wall here. Make sure it's 40U, not 5DU. And then that's pretty much it for that area at this second, yes. And a 40U buff beam right there. And then move straight over to your mage. We're going to be placing down a couple of lightning towers and deadly strikers. Now, we're not going to get all of them down just because we don't have enough mana, but I'll show you guys the essentials. This place sucks. Alright. Have a deadly striker facing a little bit towards the left, one facing a little bit towards the right, and then spam lightning towers until you run out of mana. And that's pretty much it. I think we're missing something somewhere, but I am too lazy to check. Jump onto your jester, and for this first round, you can start either down there or up here. I like starting up here because this place tends to get hit a little bit in earlier waves. I don't like that. Boom. And then immediately move over to your lower area, because this place is where everything comes to die. This is the kill part of the build. Everything else the auras can handle, but the ogres are going to come right here. So you want to make sure you want to get this buff beam upgraded first. I'm going to save myself some mana on the ground here. Now, I would not actually recommend upgrading your buff beam. I got hit by a wasp, didn't I? I would not recommend upgrading your, not buff beam, but your deadly strikers and lightnings on this first round. Auras feel free to, but the deadly strikers and all that, you're going to be selling most of them soon, so there's no reason to, in my opinion. Okay, cool. That's pretty much everything. You can farm your mana here if you want, but there really isn't that much to worry about for the first wave. You have a lot more time than you might think. And as always, somebody gets stuck down here or down there, so you have even more time to do whatever you want. Cool. next up is our mage. We're going to place the rest of the towers and sell the ones that we currently have. So, I don't remember, I think it's like 3 Deadly Strikers and then 2 Lightnings. I don't remember the exact numbers, but either way, just do what I do and you guys should probably be fine. Have 1 Deadly Striker facing straight towards the first crystal, 1 facing a little bit right to the other crystal. Oh, that's a lot of mana wasted. And then 1 facing a little bit right towards the left crystal. And then spam Lightning Towers. I think I put 1 Lightning Tower too many. No, I did not. Great. Now we're going to go over to our EV and place down 1 more set of reflectors. So first reflector is going to be about here, something like that. And then your other reflector should be just about like this. And don't worry, you can move these later. Don't have to worry too much about how you place them exactly. But just follow roughly what I do and you should be fine. Cool. Jump onto your summoner for the next bit. Now, you only need to get 2 ogres down for this first round, but if you have spare DU mana, then feel free to get the rest of the ogres. And oh my god, it is nice having speed on this character. So, 1 ogre will be right here. This is for the survival part of the build, funnily enough. 1 ogre right here, and then another ogre right here. And they're going to body block. And then behind them, place down at least 1 spider. I'm going to place down 2 because I can. And then you're going to place down a couple of mages, 2 mages to be exact. Try to place them a little bit farther back. I don't know if I would recommend placing them on the buff beam over here, because that can get risky, but you can if you want to. Now for the ogres, I'm going to place 1, the sacrificial ogre, facing way farther forward than the other ones, because when the boss spawns, the Wasp Queen will just shove everything back a peg. So I'm fine with having that guy just get put into a corner and then dying, or at least, you know, make it easier, because I'm pretty sure the boss only shoves the minions once. I think. I'm actually not that confident, but I'm gonna try it out. You don't have all the mana for the ogres on the first wave, so don't worry about that. You don't even need to place them on the first wave, the second wave, so don't worry about it too much, but if you can get them down earlier, it'll be a lot less work for you in the future. If you're wondering why we're not tower boosting, it's because we don't need to, and it's actually better not to, since we would rather have these enemies live so we can farm mana off them than we would have them die and get faster waves. The idea is to get pretty much everything maxed out, especially these auras over here. Trust me, you're going to need these auras maxed out. Because during the boss wave, these are the auras that are most likely to go down. Your ogres will get hit a ton, but your ogres will probably survive. The auras up there, I know for a fact, will not. And spam upgrades. That's pretty much it. All you're going to be doing for the next couple of rounds is spamming upgrades. You guys can probably barely hear the game right now because I probably lowered the audio to nearly nothing. But trust me when I tell you, it is very loud right now. First things first, upgrade your auras, then upgrade your Deadly Strikers and Lightnings, then upgrade this physical wall right here, and then focus on your ogres and mages. Try to save a little bit of mana left over for the next wave, because we still have to place down, like, I think 2 ogres and a bunch of mages. But we should have enough mana on the ground to do that pretty comfortably. And this area up here really just does not need much help. Now, I think you can do the boss wave with just 2 characters, if I'm not mistaken. With not just 2 characters, with 4 characters, and get like 4 times the rewards. But it's a fair bit more risky, and I just wouldn't recommend doing it until you have much higher stats. Okay, so that's how I'm going to place my ogres. Feel free to change up how you place them, but try to be a little cautious when you're placing the mages here, because you don't want to place these mages like on this crystal over here or too far back, because sometimes the ogres that are coming in from this side, or the ones that slip through this side, can they slip through? If they do, they might get aggroed onto your mages and start hitting this crystal as collateral damage. And trust me when I tell you, you don't want that. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you place your mages a fair distance away from most of your ogres, because your mages will be keeping your ogres alive, and they can't do that if they're getting killed. They have way less HP, so so they're not able to survive nearly as much as you'd want them to. That's also why you don't want to stack your mages here. Normally, I would recommend just stacking your mages so that um, you know, you take up less space with them. But having them split apart means that if one of them goes down, they don't all immediately go down. And trust me when I tell you, if all those ogres and mages go down, odds are you also go down. There's another option, I should mention this, for the final wave. Instead of doing all of these ogres over here, you just have these two ogres here, and then this mage, this spider, all of this stuff. You just slap down like a bunch of mages and archers and spiders right here. Just spam them on this exact spot, or maybe a little bit farther back. That is an option. I won't be using that because from my experience, it's a little too janky, but I think it does get the boss killed a fair bit quicker. So if you're interested in going a little bit faster for a little bit more risk, that's definitely an option. But again, I personally am not going to be doing that because in the past it has not worked out well. But yeah, just upgrade all your towers. You should get everything finished by wave 15, so I'll come back to you guys on the final wave. Alright, we're on the final wave. The Deadly Strikers and Lightnings got beat up a little bit because I wasn't paying attention when I placed the ogres or something like that. But I don't think it should matter for the campaign at least because they don't take that much damage and you're going to be sitting here with a tower boost healing them the whole time. So not too much to worry about. What is your cast rate, sir? 350. That is terrible. Why do you have so much speed? Okay, for the boss wave, you don't need to tower boost during the regular wave, but once that boss spawns, you better be tower boosting, and you better keep it up, ideally for the entire length of the boss fight. Ideally. If it does go down at some point, you kind of should just pray that it's not at a bad point, because if it's at a bad point, that's GG. That is GG. But this build is doable, is good enough that you can survive pretty comfortably, or you can just try again pretty quickly. It's only like 16 minutes for the whole thing. So, you know, if you fail, just try again. You'll get it eventually. You only need to do the campaign with these low stats once, and afterwards you unlock the armor grind here, which means that you don't have to worry about low stats anymore because this is the best place to farm armor. I think it is. It might be the second best. Not 100% sure on that part yet. Okay, yeah. So, final wave, just spam your upgrades. Things will be getting very, very loud for you. That's just, you know, just happens because you have two characters up and one of them sitting on top of a million lightning towers, all blasting your ears out at once. The only thing I can recommend is to focus on your minions as much as possible for before the boss spawns, because your minions, these ogres especially, try to get them maxed out. The mages try to get them maxed out. The spiders don't matter that much, but there's just so much stuff going on that you don't really have a choice on exactly what you upgrade. And the reflector walls, they really don't matter. And that is an ogre hitting our mages. As long as that doesn't happen during the boss wave, we should be fine. And it shouldn't, because we'll have a tower boost going the entire time. Jesus Christ, that is 18 million HP that just got evaporated in a nanosecond. Okay, let's see. One of our big men is not fully up. Repair your auras. Huge importance. Repair your auras here. I think some of our things aren't completely ready to fight the boss, but some of our towers aren't completely maxed out, but that shouldn't be too much of a concern, I hope. Press F8, put your character in this spot, and then press F2, or no, F3, and hold right click, start the tower boost immediately, swap back to your main character, and get ready. I don't think there should be too much to worry about, but you will need to occasionally go out there and repair or upgrade your towers, depending on how terribly you place them. Me personally, it looks like I placed them absolutely horrendously. So I'm going to have some stuff to deal with. But if you follow the build and place a little bit smarter than I did, should be fine. Is this ogre not upgraded at all? Oh my god, it isn't. Alright, well that ogre's dead. I'm just going to assume it's dead. That sucks. Heal, heal, heal. Oh my god, I saved the ogre. Oh yeah, make sure your mana stays up as much as you can. Because if your mana goes down, you go down. Uh, Earlier on, you can get away with just like leaving occasionally, but the later in the wave that it gets, the less that you can get away with that. The less you can get away with using your Wheel of Fortuna. If you're wondering how I'm dropping so much mana at once, I am spamming the drop mana button, like spamming it hard, so that even when I max out, there's like a little bit of a time frame, a window where you're able to continue getting mana, and I'm using that time frame to keep getting even more mana. I'm going to use my gesture wheel now that I have a bunch of mana on the ground to do a triple heal. Not for the mages or the anything over there, but actually for our aura stack on the top crystal, the one on the left side. Because that aura stack gets very, very low very, very quickly. Now, at about this point in health, at least for our stats, I'd say you're probably screwed if you're going to try and, oh, that was close. You're probably screwed if you're going to try and use another Jester's Wheel. Maybe not, actually. We have a lot of mana. I'll try it. Be quick, though. Be very quick. If you're not good at Jester Wheels, don't do it. And make sure to drop all your mana as soon as possible. Okay. I think we'll be fine. Our ogres are holding up pretty well. And as long as we keep up our tower boost, we'll be fine. If your tower boost does drop, I think in my very first attempt, my tower boost dropped, but I was still able to make it through. So you guys should probably be able to make it through as well. Hopefully. I think there's another option to place down a couple more deadly strikers facing towards the boss to speed it up a little bit. But it's a little bit less safe, I think. But again, you know, just another thing where you can speed it up a little bit by doing this instead of that. That is an ogre that will go down, I'm pretty sure. But look at those mages. Those mages are doing God's work out there. The mage has failed. Never mind. I don't know what happened to its health to make it evaporate like that, but that ogre just disappeared. We're fine though. Not that long left. Is that another ogre over there that's getting low? I can't actually tell. You can't afford to let your mana drop at all on this final wave. Be spamming that drop mana button on your main character. That was an ogre. It's fine. We have one more ogre left. And 200k HP should be just enough that we can make it through. And even if that ogre does go down, we're sitting behind reflectors and everything. The boss is about to die. Keep spamming that mana. As long as your mana's up, you're up. We really are eating through mana though. Holy hell. Ogre is down. Not good. Do we have another ogre? It doesn't matter. We're done with the map. Do we have another ogre? Our tower boost just went down. F3, F8. It should be fine. Just gonna do a triple heal really quick. I did slow down time instead. That is very awkward. That is really, really awkward, actually. We're still fine. Just barely. But that is... it's kind of embarrassing. F3, tower boost. And what is it? What are you getting hit by? Nope, we didn't have any more ogres left. Bueno, we got 2 honey spears. Very cool. That's the map completed on campaign. I might include in the comments a video to me doing this on a different attempt. Yeah, I'll include an extras video in the comments. Because it was a lot easier for that extras video than it was for this actual one. Loot. Probably not going to get good armor. Probably not going to get super good weapons. Might be worth checking out. Let me leave on... I did leave, okay. But pets, these guardian animuses especially, you want to keep these. These are very bueno. The squire is terrible. You don't care about him. But everybody else you want, especially the mage and the huntress. There we go. And as far as this goes, the like actual animus pets, these mean looking ones, try to keep one of each kind because they're annoying to get otherwise. Okay, that's the loot. You can get some really, really good weapons. If you get a honey gun, odds are it's worth keeping. So definitely keep a honey gun if you get it. If you don't, It's whatever. You can always do the map again, and you'll have a lot higher stats next time. Next up is the survival, which I haven't tested yet, but that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and test the survival. If everything goes well, next thing you guys see is going to be the survival and not grinding for XP. Alright, before we get into Infested Survival, I want to show you guys a quick XP farm in Embermount Volcano. For this XP farm, you're going to need 4 of these harpoon pets. And I'm going to show you guys the short version, because if you have around the stats that I'm assuming you have, and you have the harpoon pet, then you should be able to do this. So place a weakened aura and a slow aura at each crystal, then bring in your EV. Ideally you already have your EV brought in, and you're going to be placing down 4 reflections, 2 at each crystal. And that's pretty much it for the build. It's actually super simple. All you need is around like 2.5k range, and then you need to have these harpoons have at least 15,000 damage, I'd say. And once you have that satisfaction, once you've met that requirement, you are good, and you can bring in all your other characters. Ideally, you should be able to do this very, very quickly. It should take no more than like a minute or so to build everything. And if you're having trouble, you know, just place down a couple of, not reflector walls, but physical walls right in front of your reflectors, and that'll make it a little bit easier for you. But doing this, it's pretty easy to level up all of your characters, and the reason I'm doing this is because I've been having some difficulty pulling off Infested Survival, and we've gotten a couple of supreme items and ultimate items that I can't use quite yet, so I imagine if I've gotten them, then odds are you guys have as well. So, you know, if you want to just make it a little bit easier for yourself, you want to equip those supremes, those ultimates, do this map, do it on Nightmare Hardcore, just the first wave, this build, all that. It'll be about 4.5 million XP per minute. I think this probably is the best just XP farm in the game, as far as I'm aware. And get yourself to level 93 if you're really going to go into it. Do not go all the way to 100. The amount of XP you need from 93 to 100 is the same as from 0 to 93. So believe me when I tell you, it is not worth it. But that's it. I'm just going to show one completion because I'm just going to go straight into the survival for Infested. But I do highly recommend that you guys farm this a couple of times, at least until you can equip some of those Supremes, because that'll be a pretty nice stat increase if you've gotten some nice ones. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go straight back into Infested and show you guys the survival build that I have. Alright, before we get into Infested Survival, there's a few things you need. First thing is I have updated the stats a little bit, mainly on the EV, but I'm just going to show you guys the stats on all of my characters. We're going to do up to wave 35 as one summoner, and then at wave 35, we're going to swap to our monk, the summoner and or our jester, and then 2 huntresses, one of which I have not made yet, because we want to get a honey gun for a DPS EV in the future. As for the summoner that we're going to be keeping out the whole time, this is him. Try to get high resistance, generic resistance, and then you definitely need to have a Huntress Guardian and Apprentice Guardian. Make sure that their number of defense boost is maxed out. You can do that by just holding shift the whole time, and every 10 upgrades, it'll let you upgrade this up to 6. And yeah, that's all you need. Build, if I do it properly, if everything is remembered by me properly, this should be something that you can AFK, like you could just let a whole wave play out and just AFK comfortably, very, very comfortably, up until wave just about 30. I was able to do that in my testing, so I imagine it'll go the same here. So this is a little bit of a weird build. It is one that I cobbled together from a variety of people, mainly because I don't actually have the stats to do the builds that most of the people I saw were doing. Yeah, that's probably good enough. So I just found something that somehow worked for me. Alright, something like that. I think the auras were a little bit different when I originally did them, but that's good enough. Okay, those are all the auras. And you're going to notice we're not using any electric auras because they do very, very little damage, and so are not worth our time. Next is going to be 2 gas traps and 1 darkness trap. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this darkness trap is 100% necessary, but I do like placing it because it makes me feel like I'm safer. Place the gas trap gas trap and then darkness trap right there. Then move on over and swap to your EV. Your EV, you're going to do a little bit of shenanigans. That was a very loud car outside. On your EV, you're not going to put any buff beams here, but you will place a reflector. Is this necessary? No, probably is not useful at all, but I do like having it there. It makes me feel safe. Over here, nothing, but right here, place down a buff beam inside there, place down a buff beam inside here, and you're going to place down a 4U buff beam a little bit higher up on the stairs, like that. Try to make it as long as you can. And then you're going to be placing down a 1DU reflector here, something like this. And then over here, you're going to place down a 1DU reflector as well. I do not have any mana. Now this reflector, I also don't think it's that necessary, but I do feel safer when I place it down, which is why I place it down. Let's get the rest of the mana. Next thing, those are all the buff beams, by the way, and once you have all 4 towers being boosted, you can sell these 2 buff beams, these support beams, right here. And then go over here and place down 2 reflectors. So one something like this, and the other one something like this. Now I don't know if this reflector here, is necessary, but I do know that this one is absolutely necessary because what happens is that archers roll up and they start beating the shite out of your crystal because I just don't have the stats to be able to kill them fast enough. What was I going to say? Right, this area. You're going to place down a ton of reflectors. I had like 5 when I did this. You could probably get away with a lot less, so I'm going to try that. Place down 1 reflector there, 1 reflector here. This one's definitely necessary. And then place down 1 reflector, something like that. And then our last reflector, also necessary. Yes. Yeah. That should be good enough. Yeah, I'll probably be fine. But those are all the reflectors. You can also place down 1 right here if you want. I don't know that it's super helpful, but it makes me feel safe, and it'll make it so that we cap out on our DU. So I will keep it there. Next up, swap to your apprentice. Big surprise. We're going to be stacking a bunch of towers. I don't remember exactly how many lightning towers were in each spot, but I do remember that we had 3 deadly strikers. So, for the deadly strikers, have one facing directly to the right, have one facing to the right and then down a little bit, one facing to the left, and then up a little bit. Something like that. And that's it for the W strikers. Lightnings, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's call it 5 there, and then probably 4 on the other side. I don't give it any exact numbers because I don't remember what exact numbers I used last time. So this build, it's just a few more minions and we'll be done, but it is meant entirely to get us to wave 35, being completely AFK, and I forgot I have an extra DU for a wall. Is that 4? Did I place down 4 here? Oh, I definitely did. Huh. Anyways, we have 1 more DU left over. I know where I'm going to put that, and it's going to be right in front of another set of minions we're going to have, because one time I noticed that they were getting low. I'm not sure if that was because the minions were getting low just naturally, or if it was because projectiles were hitting them, but just in case, place down a reflector in front of this tree. There we go. And you should be good. Now, move on to your summoner. You're not going to be placing much on this first round, but on the second round, you will be placing every single other thing that you're going to have. So for now, just going to place down a spider here, a spider here, because I know these are going to go here, and another spider here. They're not going to do much in the first wave, but that is where you place down the spiders. Go back onto your Jester, and upgrade your cast rate. This is where you're going to be farming your mana. From my experience, I get a lot of mana. If I'm standing on these towers, I can aim down in this area, shoot down there, aim up in this area, shoot up here, or mainly what I love to do is to sit here and shoot down this angle right here. Because what happens is a ton of enemies just get like gooped up right here, and well, that's a really good spot to hit because they line up and your weapon pierces. But start the wave. I like aiming here, and upgrade this buff beam to max as soon as possible. When you're doing with these, what you're doing, when you are placing down these buff beams, do your best to make sure that one of your buff beams, not one of your buff beams, your auras, make sure that these auras do not reach into this spawn, because if they do, bad times. Alright, just gonna farm the rest of the mana here. But yeah, build is very simple. The only thing that you should ever have to worry about with this build is Dark Elf Warriors. But hopefully that's not actually something that becomes a problem. Oh, and every once in a while, this aura over here, this is the one that will get by far the lowest in terms of HP. But once you max this aura out, the lowest I've seen it get is about 500 HP out of 1800. And that's a lot more than enough HP to be very happy. Okay, rest of the minions. Let's stand right about here. So, place down orc minions. I bet you guys didn't see that one coming. We're going to be using orc minions. I didn't think they had a use, but these guys are just very fatty, both in terms of hitbox, which is the main thing we're using them for, and HP, which means that they can tank every single bit of damage that comes through this way and be perfectly fine. So, it turns out that orc wall was not as good as I thought it was. Had a little bit of a gap somewhere, right here, and ogres were able to get through it. I noticed one get through on the right side, and I noticed one get through on the left side. So to fix that, I think all I have to do is just move the spiders up a little bit, and that should be good. There we go. We have them placed down. You might have to move these a little bit, and by move I mean sell and replace, because if you can get through these gaps between them, then so can ogres. Not on this side, doesn't matter that much on this side, and doesn't matter that much on this side either. Next is going to be two big-ass ogres. A little bit forward, have them one right there, something like that. Pick up the rest of the mana, test out if we can walk through these. Nope, nope, nope. And this one you have to fall. And this one is bueno. Great. Then the other ogre, place it fairly close to this one. Something like that should do. Then you're going to place down two mages. One right here, and one right here. Doesn't have to be exact, but just get rough placements. Next is going to be mages. Place down one mage here, and then a spider minion very close, and then a mage minion very close to that spider. Try to place them in such an orientation, in such a way that you don't have very much of a gap between them. Again, you can't walk through these. This is where ogres get stuck. Not the most, but very close to getting stuck the most. This is where they get stuck the most. This is the second most stuck place, and this is the number one. Okay, now place down a couple of archers. One right there. One very close to that one as well. And then I'm going to place down a spider somewhere like here. Again, try to make sure there's no gap. And then we need mana for a mage. And place down a mage. And then two more archers. And then, oh, what the heck? And then go ahead one more time. Get over there and test out. Make sure that you cannot run through these. Bueno, bueno. Everything else here is good. Main problem area here. And we are good. Next area here. Gotta make sure you can't go through these because ogres get stuck here a lot as well. We're good. And that is all of our minion units. And that should be the build. So, the last thing you have to do is move a set of traps on your Jester, which involves, you guessed it, unequip all gear. I'm going to put my genie back on because it gives me negative range. And then move, I'm so slow. And then move over and put the gas trap and darkness trap up a little bit. Okay, cool. Zoom in once, by the way. Otherwise, you're going to be placing gas traps in the ceiling. Very weird, but that is how it works. Alright, move the the darkness trap as high as you can get it, about there, and then move it down one bit. Then do the same thing with your gas trap, but actually keep it at the highest point. Something like that. And you're good. So, one thing that I should point out is I'm not 100% sure if you should upgrade that darkness trap all the way up in terms of its stars. I have heard that that is not a good idea, but I have not tested to make sure that it's not a good idea. So I'm going to keep it at 1 star. You guys can mess around with it as you like. The only thing that threatens it even slightly is a Jin. Yes. But yeah, just sit here and go crazy. Remember to get yourself the wasp pet on wave 24, and I would recommend that on wave 20 onwards, you bring out what was it? On wave 20 onwards, you go through all the chests and look for loot, because that's when the good loot starts dropping. I think wave 25 is when the good loot starts dropping the most, but it doesn't hurt to start early. Everything is finished upgrading. I finished upgrading everything on wave 30. Most everything. A few reflectors are left and some of the traps, but those don't matter that much. Just get them up to like a star or something like that and you'll be fine. Get onto your summoner. I'm on my summoner already. And make sure you have an apprentice hunter's guardian. Go on top of your deadly strikers and phase shift inside of them. And then unphase shift. Try to angle yourself and position yourself in such a way that your apprentice and hunter's guardian will be boosting only your deadly strikers and your lightning towers. They have a chance to boost your reflector walls. I don't know what exactly affects it, but if they start boosting your reflectors, try like moving where you're aiming or where you are specifically, so that they don't boost those. How do you know if they're boosting them? They'll have the cool little spikes, purple spikes, very noticeable ones, coming out the center of them. But yeah, just sit here. You can AFK up until wave 30 very comfortably. And the only thing I'd tell you to watch out for is that one time I had this mage right here get super low on HP, although I didn't have a reflector in front of it, so maybe that's why. But I also only had one mage there, not 2 mages, so maybe that won't be an issue. But that might happen. Only happened on like the really late waves, so you know, keep an eye on that. But mainly, starting wave 28 would be like the safest, but wave 30 more realistically. Dark Elf Warriors will have so much HP that they might just run straight through all your defenses, sometimes, not all the time, and just start beating the shit out of you right here. And when that happens, be ready to use your flash heal. Actually, I'm going to rebind my flash heal to 1. And yeah, just be ready to flash heal. The only thing that you need to keep up is your HP, so having higher hero health or having a higher generic resistance will make this a lot easier on you. The only other thing is that the aura stack down here, it's not even a stack, it's just the strength drain aura right here. This is the only one that gets somewhat low on HP, but I'm pretty sure you can AFK the entirety of this map, including wave 35, without this thing ever going down. So unless you open your map and you see this thing like bright red and flashing, odds are you're perfectly fine. But yeah, wave 23 is where I would recommend you start this for any future farming. And if you don't have the stats for wave 23, start on wave 20. It is also recommended that you bring in a sniper, what? A DPS summoner, just the same thing as a regular summoner, but with DPS pets. You want to have an eyeball pet on it and a deadly striker pet. We don't have one of those, so you could probably get away with having just 2 deadly strikers, or maybe like a deadly striker and a harpoon. But that's just to deal with extra damage on the ogres, and mainly the dark elf warriors to prevent them from coming in. You could also have another summoner with a huntress guardian, yes, and a monk guardian, and then another one with a apprentice guardian and a monk guardian, and place them around the same spot here. If you do all of that, you should probably have a very easy time with all the waves. But I didn't want to do that because I don't like having extra screens, and having all those extra characters means that enemies have both more HP and there's more of them. So I think it means that the waves are longer. But that is recommended. That's everything I have to say. I'll see you guys whenever I have anything to mention, or if something happens. All right, bring in the extra characters because loot and wasp time. Go. Alright, let's go quickly see if any of those are high enough. Also, I don't know why that lightning tower got hit. I'm gonna check back on the recording and figure that out. But we got 1 ultimate wasp. By the way, the reason you don't care about the non-ultimates is because This wasp here is getting like, what is that, 112 damage per upgrade. Meanwhile, these wasps down here, that's only getting like 100. Is that even 100? It's like 80 damage per upgrade, I think. No, it's 60? That's 60 damage? TLDR, it gets less damage per upgrade, and that's why you don't care about it. Same thing with Supremes, you don't want them either. Well, also, we got some nice pieces of gear. A double cap ranged piece for a monk or huntress. This one is just probably for an EV. And then this one over here, another ranged piece. This one going to cap an ultimate, so it's going to go all the way up to 600 range. And then that's going to get boosted even more because it's an ultimate piece of gear. But yeah, I'm going to go back and check on the recording, see why that tower got hit. I have a sneaking suspicion I didn't do the minion wall here perfectly right. But only time will tell. And by time, I mean me. I'm going to go check back right now. Alright, so the reason that these towers got hit last time is because I did not have a reflector wall right here, and ogres were going up to this wall, throwing a spitball, and the spitball was hitting, I think, around this area maybe, and it was splashing onto the lightning towers right here, and that was what was causing the damage. Not as much of a problem now, but I think if it did continue onto the like waves 30 and onwards, that would be a big problem causer. But yeah. Alright, I have no idea how that ogre did it, but as you guys saw, the ogre bunny hopped around these two ogres, these two mages, and landed here. You could solve this by moving this mage here and moving this mage here, I think, maybe, but honestly, if the ogres are able to bunny hop like that, then I don't know if I have much of a chance. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen, and it only happened because the ogre survived so long, I think. Although, we did have another ogre come through here and start beating the shit out of these towers earlier, so might be a good idea. Actually, no, it definitely is a good idea to move these towers to just about this point here, a little bit away from the crystal. Anyways, I'm on my jester and my monk, and I've swapped out my monk's pet for a harpoon because we're gonna combine DPS and tower DPS, player DPS and tower DPS. So the jester is here to provide billions and billions of mana to our monk here. Now, when our monk runs out of mana eventually from tower boosting, we're going to swap our monk from having tower boost to having hero boost. And that's where the harpoon's going to come in. Well, it's going to be there always, but the harpoon will add an additional, like, I don't know, million DPS, something like that, to any kind of damage that we're doing. So that should keep away the Dark Elf Warriors and stuff like that. And if times get really, really rough, we always have our Jester. We can use our Wheel of Fortuna and do a triple sword. I gotta say, I don't know. I don't have very high hopes for this because we're going to be doing it with 4 characters, but hopefully things turn out well. As for the other 2 characters, we're going to bring in a Huntress, who is going to immediately die, and then we're going to bring in a, what was the other character? A Huntress and another Huntress, that's right, because we want to get a Honey Gun. We did not get one from the campaign because we're unlucky, so we're going to try to get one here. Oh, and we also get extra pets. That's another thing I completely forgot about. You get extra pets. What is it called? The Mini Wasp Queen? I think that's what it's called. I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's like very good actually for killing one specific boss, the Kraken. But yeah, let me drop all my mana to this guy. Pick up some extra mana for the reserves. And I'm gonna hide the other screens because I don't really need to see them. I just need to start the tower boost on the secondary character. And I'm a little nervous, but I really hope everything goes well. And if it does, great. If it does not go well, that's too bad, but we have gotten to wave 35 pretty comfortably. Yeah, alright. Here we go. F3, Control G, press 2, go back to F2, F8. And provide mana. Provide mana support. Ogres will have way more HP now. Way more. Thankfully, we do a lot more damage to make up for this. Where are the other ogres? Here they are. Yeah, they have about 100 million HP now. So, you know, nothing to scoff at. Thankfully, our tower boost means that we do way more damage. Like you can see, 6 million per Deadly Striker hit, which means that these 100 million HP ogres are only a couple of shots away from being 0 HP ogres. I'm actually going to put my other screens back up. Even though it does cause a lot more clutter and a lot more lag, having the other screens is nice because it lets me know what my mana situation is. Mind you, we're dealing a lot of damage per second with our Harpoon pet right now, but the moment that we start hero boosting, we should just about triple our damage. And we might start hero boosting very soon. In fact, I'm going to start hero boosting in just a moment if I can. That way we can cycle hero boost and tower boost to have a relatively easy time doing this whole thing. Try to make sure these ogres go down. And pay attention to your boosts, seriously. Those boosts are very crucial. Alright, press F3, 2, 3, F2. And now we're going to rely a fair bit on or hero damage. And at the same time, we're going to do sword, sword, and sword. And that should tide us over until we have enough to go back to hero boosting, or tower boosting, I mean. Right. Press F3, 2, swap the 3 off. Alright, cool. And now we're back to tower boosting. And we can rinse and repeat that, but to be honest, probably not necessary to rinse and repeat because the ogres actually die out pretty early on in the wave, and all you're left with is the chump minions, so like your mages and whatnot. So all things considered, we should be fine. And we have enough mana, or this is early enough that we can do a quick heal for our auras, although I actually don't think it's necessary at all. Funnily enough, we just don't need to heal our auras that much because things die too fast for the auras to get killed too quickly. Very bueno. Things are going really well. A lot better than I was hoping for. I mean, you can see these things are just getting melted. And if you had, like, you know, if you had your Huntress equip a better pet, say for example, either another DPS pet, or if you're smart, which I'm not, having your other character equip a, actually I think we're gonna swap over, yeah, from 2 to 3, having your other character equip a, what are they called again? Oh, lovely. Bueno, what is it called? Not an engineer pet. My brain has drawn a blank, I apologize. I'll put some text on the screen if I remember it in time. All right, F3, 2, swap off the 3. Very good. Okay, I think that's pretty much all the ogres for the foreseeable future, which means that we are pretty much done. Oh, have your other character with a animus. Again, preferably you have your other character as a Huntress so that you get specifically the Huntress reward. But if you're going like exclusively for the pets, then you don't need to worry about that at all, and you can just focus yourself on and you can just focus yourself on what's it called, getting like another 2 summoners in and just going crazy with them. Because if you have those other summoners, you are more than set. This went a lot smoother than I was hoping for it to go. The nice thing is that because it's the final wave and enemies have so much health, you can really just milk the areas that you could before for even more mana. Happy days. If you get lucky enough and you happen to find an ultimate plus piece of gear, I mean, I hope it's good, right? But even if it looks a little bit mediocre, definitely consider keeping it around. Because ultimate plus gear, the only way that it'll drop is if you're going to get an ultimate piece of gear, an ultimate 93 piece of gear, and it gets converted, I think it's like a 1 in 10 chance, something like that, to an ultimate plus piece of gear. And those are the best legitimately attainable items. And I say legitimately, not through cheats, but like, you know, event items. But those are the best items you will ever get in DunDefPlanners. Potentially, I don't know. You could get like a really terrible one, but definitely, if you got one, you not only did you get lucky, but it might be something that you keep until the end of your time playing DunDefPlanners. And on top of that, they might even have some extra value. The value in DunDefPlanners is measured in cubes, because they're once per account items. CV cube value. So if you get a really nice piece of gear, it might have a fair bit of cube value, aka you might be able to get some event items for them. The general thing that you're looking for is just the same thing you'd be looking for on any other piece of gear, but on a Ultimate Plus Plus, it'll have much higher stats. The highest they can go to is 999 in a given stat. Make sure if you get one that's good for DPS to I don't remember the numbers off my head, but make sure like ask somebody who knows things in the Dungeon Defenders runs and giveaways Discord. I'll put another link in the description. Ask them for like how to upgrade it or something like that, because you don't want to make an item that would normally have a lot of value lose it. Trust me, I've done it before. It is feels bad, man. We are done though. Oh, that doesn't include weapons, by the way. Ultimate plus plus weapons in general, terrible, and you'll find a ton of them. Ultimate whatever weapons, just map drop weapon, or not map drops, just regular item drop weapons tend to be atrocious and unworthy of your time. They just aren't that good. Even in stats, I mean, it's just a shit show. Okay, cool. We're done. And the whole thing, the blah blah blah. The only thing we have left is to do whatchamacallit on Nightmare Hardcore, the campaign for Tinker's Laboratory. I heard from Chiku that they actually added weapons for every single class of that map, which means that it is absolutely worthwhile to just grind there for your XP instead of grinding literally anywhere else, because being able to get weapons is another huge stat boost. Like right now, our weapons are giving us like what 200 in a given stat. That's probably around the maximum. But Tinkers, not Tinkers, but like designated map drops, map reward weapons can give you up to like, up to quad 600. So another 400 in all of our stats. And that's not even mentioning if we get like, an ultimate plus plus weapon. Items. Let's see what we got. A honey staff that is ult. Oh, this hurts me right in the soul. This hurts me in the soul. That's super unfortunate. We got negative range. If this had positive range, it would be awesome for our apprentice, but it doesn't. So it's useless on every one of our characters. Pets. None of these are going to be that good because none of them are ultimate, but I'll keep whichever one looks pretty good. This one's terrible because it has negative range, or negative damage. Actually, they're all kind of terrible. I might not. I'll keep one. That sucks. And let's see. We got a honey spear, an ultimate honey spear. Probably better than what we currently have, but it doesn't have very good stats. Although it might be a good DPS weapon for a monk. So actually gonna keep it. And then let's see. Oh baby. Oh baby. Oh damn. That has negative ability too. For honey guns, you want to have damage. You don't care about literally any other stat for this top area other than damage. Not even projectile speed. And then you want to have hero damage and ability 2. Those are the three things you are looking for on a honey gun. This one has a negative ability 2, which sucks. But oh yeah, and also upgrades. If you can get an ultimate one, it's better than a supreme or whatever. This one here, not nearly as many upgrades, but it has positive hero damage. I'm not sure yet, but this one over here is no. This one's going to be worse DPS than the Ultimate Plus Plus, or the Ultimate Plus one, but we can equip this one at 93, and this one's going to require 93 times 2 in terms of experience. So, good. If you get a Mythical Honey Gun, unfortunate, but hopefully you get better rewards. And in terms of the map rewards for armors, we got a bunch of terrible ones. Cool, let me make sure I'm not throwing away anything that's actually worthwhile. We already have a Squire Animus, so we're good. And good. We're done. We can move on to what was it called? We can move on to not Infested Ruins, but Tinker's Laboratory. Alright, Tinker's Lab, Nightmare Hardcore campaign. While I'm building this, let me give you guys a little bit of info. So this is not my build. I'll link the build in the description. And it is not a build that I have the stats to run properly. By properly, I mean I can run it, but there are caveats as a result. The main one being you need to have a summoner with the pets going at all times. By pets, I mean the apprentice pet and the other pet. What is it called? The apprentice and the huntress pet, the guardian ones. That's just because we don't really have high enough stats. I think for this map, you want to have around 5k in your primary stats. For your, what is it called? For your apprentice, 6k, more preferably if you can get there, to be able to do it really, really easily. But I do not I don't. So I kind of just make do. And that is by having a summoner. The upside from that is that you could just use your regular summoner because you're only going to be using 2 characters for tower, or 3 characters for towers. Your monk, your EV, and your apprentice. And that's it. Which means that you can put both of those pets onto your summoner and ball. But yeah, so the thing about Tinker's map is that it's really scaled towards the end of the map. So like the beginning of the map will be really easy for you, but then the end of the map, like wave, I'd say 14, 15, those two are going to be incredibly hard, way harder than every other previous wave combined. And it's kind of insane. The scaling is ridiculous. I think it's a combination of just an insanely large amount of an insanely large increase in the amount of ogres and the amount of HP that they have, both in one move. Make these two do you physical beams, by the way, everywhere that you can. That's true. But yeah, so as a result, we need to have the summoner up. But I think maybe you could probably get away with just not having your summoner and having like another character of yours, what is it? Having another character of yours with an apprentice guardian, maybe, or a huntress guardian, whichever one really. But you could probably get away with that, probably. Not 100% sure, but I think so. Over here, when you're placing down these physical barriers, try to make it so that they're not super close to the crystal. Something like that should do. And again, try to make them 2DU, and then that'll be it for the first wave. There we go. I feel like I missed something somewhere. I might have. Let's just assume I didn't, because I don't want to go back. Bring out your jester, and then bring out your other 3 characters you wish to level. For the first wave, nothing really matters, so I'm just going to bring out these 3. Press F8, and build up your mana. You can upgrade this area if you want, but I recommend just spamming your mana drop here, because there's just not enough time to get around the map to properly build up your mana. So I just do this instead. To upgrade everything and build up your mana at the same time, I mean. Speak of the devil, I have run out of enemies to hit. Nice thing is that you can go over here, and there's usually like something over here that you can hit. Try to... Actually, maybe I would recommend upgrading that first beam to max, but we should have enough mana that it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, like, the wave is incredibly quick. There's not much time for anything. Thankfully, all of the big manas stayed, which is nice, although I was hoping some of the smaller ones would also, but it is how it is. First wave is finished. You guys know how much XP, just about 2 million. 2 million, maybe like, what is that? 2 million, 2.5 million. F7, swap to your apprentice. Pay attention to how I place these. How I place these. We're gonna have 3 lightning towers and I think like 6 deadly strikers. So first, 3 lightning towers, and then have a deadly striker facing directly to the left, 1 facing up to the left, 1 facing up to the right, 1 facing a little bit down to the right, 1 facing straight down, and I have missed something somewhere. I am 2 DU off. Where did I forget to place down something? Oh, I remember. We're not 2 DU off, we're probably just 1 DU off. Because you're supposed to do... Oh, don't fall. What you're supposed to do is go over here and place down a reflector wall. Right here. There we go. Now that's probably fine. Oh, even more mana wasted. Oh, that hurts. Alright, now swap back to your jester. Upgrade this buff beam over here to max. Try not to waste too much mana, but you definitely will. And then over here, you don't need to upgrade this buff beam to max, but try to upgrade it a fair amount, something like that. And the other thing is upgrade these auras to about a star. At least for my stats, about a star is good. And the other thing is you need to upgrade the wall itself up to, I would recommend a star, bare minimum, but you could probably get away with a little bit less. We're gonna be, for the second wave, I think we can probably get away with being on our jester, but to play it safe, you want to play on your monk and sit on top of all those towers. Will I play it safe? Yes, I'll play it safe. Yeah, try to upgrade each of your buff beams at least twice for this very first wave, for the second wave I mean. If you can. You should be able to. There's a fair amount of mana left over, but if you can't, shouldn't be the end of the world because you can do it later. Okay, cool. Now, swap over to your monk. And you're going to be placing down your apprentice, your EV, or whatever other characters, honestly. It doesn't matter. Just anything you want to level. But for placing them specifically so that they don't get hit and get that 1.5 times XP multiplier for no damage, move them all the way up here on top of this blimp, roughly on the tail. Around the tail area, because otherwise things hit them and you'll be sad. They can still hit them up here, but it's a lot more rare from my experience. And I just realized I forgot to bring in, this character should not be here. Whatever. What is it? I forgot to bring in my summoner. I also forgot to swap my summoner's gear, so I'm going to have to do that as well. But for now, we'll just do this wave like this. I'm going to lower you guys' volume, because otherwise your ears will be blasted. But what you want to do is sit on top of your towers right here, and F8, and hit around this spot here with your monk right clicks. At least for me, my stats for like tower range and all that, hitting right here is best, because if you can see that right to the middle projectile is hitting straight into the enemy spawn, while the main projectile is hitting right where all the enemies are going to be grouping up, and you can keep up your mana that way. That's the best way, at least that I found. I don't think there's any other spot that's better than this. But yeah, first wave, easy peasy. Our second wave, easy peasy as well. Not much to worry about. But you can see that wall on the left side is already getting blasted, which is the number one thing that was a concern before. Okay, cool. Let's get our EV swapped out for our booster summoner. I might actually, no, I'll just swap the gear from our booster summoner to our current summoner. Will I? Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So, for now, being stupid, make sure my item box is empty. I'm going to swap out all of the gear on this summoner with my other one. Alright, cool. I got the summoner over. A little bit low on HP, but that'll be fine. Place it around this area. Oh, I realized where I forgot my wall. Hold on. Go back to the EV real quick. Place down the last wall that I completely forgot about. It's just on the left side here to prevent Ogre Spitballs from the left side hitting. That's not something you have to worry about up until about the final wave, though. So, don't be too afraid for now. Honestly, again, until wave 14, 15, you're not going to have to care about anything. But the moment that you get to those waves, it's GG. And I just realized I do not have a genie equipped on my monk because I am stupid. I am big dum-dum. I forgot to swap that out. I'm on the wrong folder. Here it is. Where is the genie? This is the genie. Great. Okay. Things to watch out for as well. Repair your auras every once in a while. Up here, you want to get these auras to probably like 2 upgrades, and then you want to make sure that if you don't max out this buff beam, get it to about 3 upgrades or a star, and then do the same thing for this wall, and at least 2, maybe a star for both of these walls actually. It'll be a little bit annoying, but the only reason we're doing this map instead of, what is it called? Embermount Volcano is because Embermount Volcano does not drop end of map weapon rewards, designated ones. Well, it does, but like we're not there yet. And then up here, upgrade this to, I'd say 3 upgrades. The same thing with the buff beam, and that should be enough to keep you happy. But yeah, from now on, just sit on that one spot and try to aim your projectiles in a bit of a smart way, so that you're hitting everything that you want to. And Control G and spam repair between waves if you need to. You might not. You might actually not need to at all, but if you do, definitely do it. Also, one more thing. I'm not sure if you can do this build with my stats, because funnily enough, having your apprentice out does increase your damage output from your deadly strikers and lightnings by like 33%, which is a not a very small amount. So you might struggle a little bit more if you know if you don't have your apprentice out. For this wave, you will probably run out of mana. If you do, pray pray that you run out of mana at the right moment so that you don't have a miserable time. There's probably like a certain amount of enemies killed. You could test it out on your own. Certain amount of enemies killed where it's like, you know, if you untower boost there, it's optimal. But I just like holding it as long as I can and praying for the best. One other thing I should mention that I probably should have mentioned before. When you are placing down your buff beams, you do want to place them on top of your towers. You have run out of defense boost. On top of your walls. The reason you want to do this is because placing them on top of your walls results in a lot easier time defending, because buff beams, if you don't know, also increase the amount of HP, like effective HP. They give them some resistance, basically, for your towers. So that's why you want to have them boosting your walls. But there we go. We have finished the map, and I guarantee you, I forgot to clean out my tavern inventory thing here, which means I'm gonna have a lot of stuff to deal with. Hey, we got achievements! First time in a long time. You guys didn't see that, but we just got a bunch of teams. We just got a bunch. We just got 2 Steam achievements. That's something we haven't gotten in a long, long time. I don't know if we have a Squire Guardian. I'm gonna keep it just in case. As for the other pets, if you get a Pixie, try to keep that. Any of the Animuses, like I said before. And what is it? Any of the Guardian pets. Oh, and a Genie. Yeah, I think you can get a Genie from here as well. If you get that, keep it. As for the weapon rewards, we didn't get any staves. Oh no, we got 1 staff. It is terrible, as I thought it would be. We have 3. Wow, we got 3 monk weapons. This one is terrible. This one is. Actually, okay. You know what? Maybe these can be pretty good. And I just got a bad sample before. Still not gonna farm this map because I hate it. But maybe it's a lot more worth it than I thought it was. We did not get anything for weapons on Squire, though that's not worth looking at anyways. This blaster rifle sucks. Yeah, it sucks. This one isn't too bad, but I bet we can get a better one. This is not a blaster rifle. This one sucks. This one sucks. Yeah, no, that one sucks. And this one sucks. But you can see there's a lot of 400s, and all you gotta do is one time get one that has 400s in a row. You can also use these as stat sticks for your Jester or for your EV. But yeah, nothing good that time. Unlock all, sell all, and that's it. That is this episode. So it's gonna be a lot of editing. It's been a lot of editing. I was planning on having this episode out yesterday. I said I would, but I got distracted by some stuff, and on top of that, Tinkers was so much harder than I thought it was. And that's it. Let me give you guys a quick summary of this episode, and let me a little bit more information about the series, because this is a very important end of an episode. So this time, Infested Ruins, we did Campaign and Survival. We also got ourselves from that 2 nice honey guns, one ultimate plus. We did the campaign for Tinker's Lab. Showed you guys the quick XP farm and weapon farm there. So yeah. Oh, and the far easier and far more efficient Embermount XP farm. So now, if you have followed the series along with me up to this point, you will be able to get all of the best armor in the game from Infested Ruins. You'll be able to get a super good DPS weapon for your EV beams. I'll show that. Maybe I'll show that in the next episode. Um, and you can get your experience from either Embermount or Tinker's Lab, and you can get all of your stat weapons from doing Tinker's Lab. I'll show a couple of other maps in the future for weapons, because Tinker's Lab, again, I don't like it that much. But yeah, you are now at a point where you can get any stats you want to do any build that you want. Just brain rot farm Infested Ruins until you have like 8,000 stats or whatever it is, and you'll be good to follow any DunDefPlanner build or any build that you see on YouTube. But that's it for the walkthrough type part of the series. The whole reason I decided to make the first like 7 or so episodes of Quest for Completion more focused on getting stats up really quickly and all that was because I kept watching people. I kept playing the game and noticing that anytime there was like a YouTube video, like I'd Google a YouTube video for how to do like, I don't know, Dread Library, or Dread Dungeon, or Arcane Library, or whatever it might be, Embermount Volcano. People would do these maps with like 6K, 7K stats, and they just blast through it in 2 seconds flat. But I was never able to follow it because I didn't know how to get those stats, and there weren't that many good guides out there. I know now Chiku's whole series exists. Chiku, you are a legend for doing that. Thank you from the whole community, for myself especially, because I've I've copied a lot of your builds, but they're not edited, and that means you got to watch like hours of content, and it's also not the most efficient. But yeah, so 7 episodes. I don't know how many hours the series is. We are now at a point where you can do literally anything you want. So just go straight to YouTube and follow all those builds. You'll have the stats that you need to do it. As for myself, what I'm going to be doing for the next episode, first things first, I have no idea when I'm going to be uploading the next episode because I'm kind of lost for what to do. Uh, probably, what I plan on doing is farming Embermount for XP and getting all of our characters up to level 93, and then doing Infested Ruins survival, and then farm this a bunch of times. Go for like ultimates. Hopefully, we get a couple of ultimate plus pluses. But farm a couple of times and get ourselves to about 5 or 6k in our primary stat for all of our characters, and then go off into Narnia and just farm other maps. I don't know anything in particular that I want to do, but I'm looking at a volcanic eruption because this map is cool. I'm looking at Embermount. This will be really hard, but I'm looking at Embermount because this map is it gives the best EV weapon, and after that, I don't know, but I'll figure something out. You guys can do whatever you want, and now I can do whatever I want. You can follow me to see how I'm going to be completing things. But the series is not over. I will be doing every single map, Nightmare Hardcore, getting all the achievements, doing the survivals as well. All of the everything will be completed in this quest for completion. But for now, for this episode, I hope it's been, for the series, for this first half of the series, I hope it's been easy to follow. Let me know if you've, had any difficulties. But assuming all has gone well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.